What I want to share with you are observations. I don't say that I know it, but I want to point out are correlations. And when you listen to your heart, you will know the truth. What I want to talk about is the meaning of the American flag. 50 stars. Why? Not just because there are 50 states, but why do we have 50 states? And there are 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes and 4 of the red stripes connect with the 50 stars and 3 are below. Why? Well, this is the total picture as I perceive it. We are now in the fourth world. So the first, second, third. And this fourth world had to become a portal, of course, so that we can enter the next world, called the fifth world. So this earth was chosen to become a portal of peace. And why portal of peace? And what is peace? Many people want to have peace because they don't like the violence, the pains, the sufferings that goes along with war. But that is not the reason why we want to have peace. Now, first of all, why have we come to this planet? We came here with a plan, and the plan is to make this earth a portal of peace. And this is in correlation with a much bigger interest in the universe. Now again, listen to this and feel in your heart if this is true. Now all is one. So what happened on this planet, on the earth, in the physical plane, also happens in the spiritual and the bigger world. So we have here we have been experiencing massive wars, destructions. The same thing happens in the heavens. They call this galactic wars. All these galactic wars have been going on for a long time. Entire planets were blown up by massive atom bombs. And even the great ones, the gods and the goddesses, they didn't know how to stop these wars. So they made treaties, and they broke the treaties, and the wars become bigger. So again, they came together to find out what can we do. Now, to make a war is by having opposites, and all of creation comes about by polarity, but when these opposites cannot be complementary, then they become antagonistic, and that creates destruction. War. It not only resonates to the physical plane, but also to the mental plane. And so the separation of the mind, like the brain thinking, see, if this is not in harmony, then we all think about conflict, competition. Mind, use, right, wrong, good, bad. And by this kind of way of mind, we create war. But also resonates how we live and what we do, what we create. but it also does affects our body. So when the body is in a war inside, we call it disease, but also resonates to the mind, and vice versa. So where to begin? What to do about it? So by consensus, the Federation made a decision. And they said, let's have the best of our warriors sent to this planet Earth. And find out, and they have to find out, there's the order to these warriors. They have to find out what it takes to make peace. Here we are, the warriors. But only the best of the best warriors, they will win the last battle, the decisive battle. That means the war of all wars. But that happens within. And it has to be centered around the heart, because the heart is the unifying center. It connects all opposites in one. And when we can think from the mind, that means, from the heart, by that thinking, by that consciousness, we can have peace. So the peace has to happen from the heart. And that heart is the seed. The seed is the union of the alpha and omega, it means all opposites. So the formula of this plan is, the seed is in the tree, and the tree is in the seed. So as long as we are not able to create a seed, a portal, we are separated. The tree, many branches, many individuals. So a tree has many leaves. These are the different factions, different people. But now the plan is coming to completion, hopefully. It will be realized that the entire tree have to create one seed. That's why we need peace, world peace. That's what world peace is for this tree to be distilled in a seed. Now, we are right now in a process, in the fourth world. So to involve the whole world and us also be in synchronicity, full synchronicity with this earth, first of all, we must have the same nucleus of the earth. And that by that nucleus, we are able to feel. Because that nucleus creates magnetism. And by that magnetism, we can create the synapses. That means we can feel, have emotions, we can think, we can use the brain. See, that's the brain. So we separated the world by plan and fixed the east and the west. It's not a natural east and west, it's fixed. And so, but because they had the same center of the earth, the east correlates with the right brain, and the west with the left brain. So thinking in synchronicity with the earth is like this. We can most precisely and most directly and most dynamically, right, relate to the duality. So by this separation, we have divided humanity in three parts. The East, we call this the Orient, and the West, the Occident. And for a long time they had to be separated. That's why we have the Middle East, which includes India. So for a long time the East and the West, there was not communication. Now, how was this staged, this separation? It happened by way of eating. Now, to understand the importance of blood, because the blood had the same nucleus of the earth, it's only by blood that we are able to function, actually first to manifest in the womb, by mother's blood, to function, to feel, wherever the blood flows in the body, we are able to feel, to have emotions, to be able to think, because without blood we cannot think, to discern, so we know the options, so one can make choice. Choice making also depends on blood. And ultimately, to become conscious, especially conscious of ourselves, that means to make a choice to be. And the true being correlates with the source, that's the oneness. That means the Creator as the Master, God of gods, who has no duality. That means the Creator thinks not in terms like we think, like right and wrong. For the Creator, there's no right, there's no wrong. There's no good, it's not right, it's right. There's a my country, there's your country. No. For the Creator, all is one. So when we are able to fully become one with the Creator, then we have peace. And the closest we can come to the Creator, that is via our heart. So how can we unify the mind and the heart? And it's by blood. So our brain and our heart are connected to the blood. So it's the quality of blood, the blood that has the total memory that all is one, that we can have peace. Now, blood, it's by biological transmutation here in the small intestine, that's why we manifest also, comes from food. From where else? Our science tells us that they come from bone marrow, but where does the bone marrow come from? So when we eat food, that food becomes our blood. And why is food so important, or most essential? Because food comes from creation, and we, the human, is creation in the human form. So how do we maintain that oneness? How do we maintain that peace? Of course, by food. Food is the link that must unify and harmonize the outer creation and the inner creation. So as long as outer creation and inner creation are not in harmony, then we have war. Make sense? Now, what kind of food to eat? How to prepare it? And how to eat it so we can fully digest our food, so that we can release the total memory that the food contains. And it's by this total memory that we can remember, we can return to the source, to the Creator, and have peace. Now we went through stages up to this point in preparation for the creation of the portal peace, and we needed the fourth world. We went through the first, second and third world. But now we have the great opportunity, the chance to open the portal of peace, because we need the four elements, the four directions. Four directions to come to the center. So this earth is giving now us the great chance to create the portal of peace. So the beings who were most destructive and most corrupt in the third world, they were the ones who are today known as the Hopi. They came from that world. They were given a chance to redeem themselves. But they're not Hopi yet. Hopi means peaceful one. So still remain to be seen. So the Hopi, they were given the role to keep the earth in balance. North and south. With the help of the star people, those are the Kachinas. So that in ceremony, with the help of the star people, to keep the earth in balance, the rest of humanity on the horizontal plane can experiment. And they still have to find out how to, on this planet, how to feel what it takes, the suffering, the pains of war that we had in the heavens. Even entire civilizations were destroyed. Lemuria, Atlantis, First World War, Second World War, Vietnam, Korean War, and still more wars, Iraq, Afghanistan, and who knows what's going to come. So the world got divided, and now we have reached the extremes of conflict by the duality. Now, the second stage is the two had to become one. So the experiment required the earth to be divided in these three parts. So the people of the East, they were commissioned to keep the memory, to hold the memory. And how can they do that? See, when we want to be human, first of all, to be human means to be creation in a human form. That's the first gift of the Creator. The second gift of the Creator, that's food. Especially the food that contains a total memory here. This is creation. But all of creation, when it's condensed by the plant world, that is food. So food is not just composition of so-called nutrients like protein, vitamins, carbohydrates, minerals and enzymes. No, that is not food. Those are just microscopic observations. Right? But food is everything. All the way from the source to the creative force release. You get the polarization, it creates vibration. Vibration becomes light, that's why I see lightning in the sky. Light becomes sound, you hear thunder. And sound becomes gas, the wind. And you see the clouds. Then the gas becomes liquid, now the rain comes down, including snow sometimes. And liquid becomes solid, that's the earth. And that's why the rain falls to the earth, not because of so-called gravity, no, because of reaching the turning point from where we can ascend. And so, when all of this is contained by the plant kingdom and becomes a food, and we eat it, we must be able to fully digest the food so that we can remember and complete the cycle of consciousness. So the reason why we have not completed the cycle of consciousness, the oneness, is because the conditions for reaching that center were not there yet in the first, second, and third world. But now we have the opportunity. But then, when we are in most primitive states and we eat food, it goes straight to our head. That's how bacteria and a virus and amoeba and so on eat. And so by that kind of digestive system, we cannot release the memory. That's short life. We're finished. So gradually, through the Earth evolution on the horizontal plane, includes ocean life, land formation, land life. So all of this has to be incorporated, right, in the being that we need to release the memory, to remember, and that is a human. I mean, true human. So gradually, in evolution, this body here start to evolve. First stomach, then the small intestines, and gradually more and more and more ascending, and the brain is also formed, more complete. So all of this is within us. All of this earth evolution is within us. So it's very obvious that ocean life, right, that is of blood. So the blood is formed in this inner ocean here in the small intestine. That's why blood has the same mineral composition, the same salinity as the ocean. So we can live on land because we carry the ocean within us. Then land formation, the sun becomes more pronounced. So there's land formation that correlates with our diaphragm, and that's why the heart is connected with the diaphragm, with the pericardium. There's a heart. Land formation, the tree, that's why we have lungs. And it's very obvious the relationship between lungs and trees by our breath. Then the wind is covered by the trees, that's why we have the breath, we breathe. The thunder, higher up, we can speak. The lightning, we can see. The vibrations, higher vibration, cosmic waves, we can think. The polarity that creates vibration or energy, we can discern. The creative force that creates the polarity. So now we can make a choice. We can act, we can create. And ultimately, the creator, so when we are fully conscious of who we are, not a dual being, but an indivisible duality. That's why I call it individual. Individual means indivisible too. That's a true human. So we're not fully individual yet. Then we can say, I am, and you're free. So all these 9 stages, by these 9 stages in the descension, we are able to become conscious. So the physical plane enables us to function, this mechanical function of the body. By the water cycle, the rain, the ocean, we are able to feel by the blood, sensorial consciousness. The blood now goes to the lungs to mix with oxygen. Now we can experience emotions, emotional consciousness. The thunder, that memory is released by the blood and goes higher up. Now we can speak, we can reason, so we can transcend emotions. the light, we can see, and now we can enter a much greater context. We can now become a social being because we embrace more other people. We can organize ourselves in the form of family, community, and so on. So when the memory is complete and harmonious, then we will have no conflict. We have peace also in our family, in the community, in the world. Vibration, we are able to think. Now we can go beyond the horizon, and the context will become much greater. We call this ideological consciousness. We can make planning of the future. Polarity, we are able to discern. On a universal level, when a memory is complete, we are able to perceive opposites as complementaries. And then the will, the choice we make, and we decide then for ourselves, I am. That means we listen to the Creator instead of listening to some inferior God or some leader, some authority. We'll go by secondary laws based on right and wrong. And that's why we create war. Then we realize the consciousness that we gain on the level that we are the creator of our own reality. So consciousness creates, and what creates is created, creates consciousness. And when we come this to the full cycle, then we realize that we are the creator of our own reality, and that since we are creation in human form, we can extend creation by the will of the Creator from within, and that makes us a co-creator. Now all of this has been dramatized on the horizontal plane between east to west. So the beings in the east, in this location, we include Japan, China, Asia, Middle East, no, not Middle East, like Indonesia, Malaysia, they were instructed to eat the wholesale grain, that is the food that has a total memory, the wholesale grain that includes corn, wheat, rice, millet, and so on, whole. So the entire digestive process is activated. Consequently, the entire nervous system is created, and so we maintain total memory. Until kind of recently, last century, they were eating whole grains. In the Middle East, the people were instructed to eat a wholesale grain, partially whole and partially from flour, like chapatis. So the digestive process was not complete, more upper part, more towards the stomach. So in order to make up for this lack of consciousness from within, they were given religion to maintain order. So all the religions come from the Middle East. You name it. Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, all come from the Middle East. In the West, there was commissioned to experiment. And they were allowed to forget. But still, order had to be maintained. So they were instructed to eat the wholesale grain, mostly in the form of flour, like bread. So the digestive process was more up. And so religion wasn't enough to maintain order. And for that, they have created science, technology. So all the experimentation, most of the experimentation started from here. And to find out how deep we can go into the great mystery, to dissect, to analyze, and this analytical mind that always want to experiment in the outer, not the inner. So finally they went into matter so deep that they were able to release that energy from within, the memory from matter. That was the atom bomb. That was designed basically in Cambridge, in the UK, and then finally tried out in the extreme west, in Nevada. So the extreme east here is Japan, and the extreme west, that is America, USA.